Hi, Julian Bezavali.
Hello, Patrick Hines.
Fam, today is the day. It's the day of all days. Everyone
here.
sit down. Everyone pull the hell over. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Tell them, girl.
Yeah, we're here. We're dropping episode 1 of the Jinx Part 2.
Yes.
That is on Patreon fully, but we're just giving you the first episode on the regular feed.
Yeah, it's 6 more episodes of the Jinx. Like Jillian said, all 6 episodes are available right now and ad-free over in the Patreon. This is a little taste. If you want to hear the rest of our coverage, you can go get all of it right now. This is wild.
It's wild.
I mean, this is more Robert Durst. It takes us through the trial. I was afraid it was going to be boring. I was on the edge of my seat.
There's a lot here. I'm glad the victims weren't lost. That was my big concern.
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
I don't want to see this crypt keeper murderer idiot. Like, why, Jarecki? Are you going to waste my time? He did not.
He did not. Like, a lot of our favorite characters are back. I got to tell you, in our episodes, Jillian's impression is back. Can you give us a little taste?
Okay, bye-bye.
It's so good. I can't remember if it's episode 2 or 3, but at one point I was jumping up and down on my seat because you were so mad. And I was saying, like, they love hearing it. I get to see it in real time.
Oh
I get, like, a front row seat to the rage. Not that I'm happy that you're mad, but it is entertaining, I will say.
This is an enraging case, everyone.
I know.
I know you agree with me because you're listening. You press play on this. I know you agree. I'm not alone here.
Fam, when you sign up for Patreon, you get over, I think, 400 other full ad-free bonus
Something
episodes
like
to
that.
download and binge right this sec. So there's so much to explore over on the Patreon. If you're not a member, please go check it out. And we'll say a quick goodbye on the way out.
Okay.
Well, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. It's like we never left.
You know, this episode is called Why Are You Still Here? I agree. I have the same question. I have many questions, actually.
And some answers.
And some answers. And some bombshells.
Yes.
And this is just episode 1. Stay tuned.
Oh, my God. Hi, Julia Bezavali.
Hi, Patrick Hines.
I mean, this is just this is so wild.
Yeah, Jarecki knows exactly what he's doing.
I know.
Every step of the way.
Hey, before we jump in, I just want to tell the fam, our next virtual drag bingo is Friday, July 12th.
That's right around the corner.
It's right around the corner.
It's happening immediately.
Amazing schwa, the amazing prizes.
We love
She's
schwa.
like, ow.
You okay?
Broke
That
my hand.
sucks. I hate when that happens. You know what it's not, though? Silver lining, your elbow. That would have really sucked.
The
That
true
sucks.
look of empathy on your face, I felt it.
I do that 15 times a day. So I'm not going to give you a suggestion about it. I'm not going to try to help it. I'm just going to say that sucks. And I'm here for you.
The amazing schwa, the amazing prizes. Steve works so hard. He spends the entire week getting the prizes for the
I know.
drag
They're
bingo.
great prizes.
Yeah.
We have so much fun.
It's for anybody at the $5 level or above. It's so much fun. Come and join us. Jillian Bezavali, what are we talking about today?
Well, this is a mouthful.
Yeah.
The Jinx Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 7, Why Are You Still Here? Because Jarecki's making this very clear. This is a full continuation.
Yes.
Because Jinx Season 1 had chapters.
Yes.
So this is Chapter 7.
One thing that was very telling that Bob said, he said, all my life I've had more money than I could spend, and it didn't make me happy.
She talked on the telephone with her husband, then she vanished, and no one has seen Kathleen Durst since.
Durst was wanted for murder in Texas. He was a suspect for murders in Los Angeles and Westchester County, New York.
He belongs to one of the richest families in New York City.
Might be a little eccentric.
I think Bob is very smart. I mean, he's managed to get away with 3 murders.
He is being unfairly accused. Bob Durst may be the unluckiest man in the world.
Well, I thought he was darling.
He's not crazy. He's diabolical.
I believed him from the very beginning.
You should interview him. I think you'd have a lot of fun with that.
Is he crazy enough to participate?
Mr. Durst?
Why did he do this? No one knows. Why was he dressed like a woman? No one knows. The only witness left alive to even talk about it is Robert Durst.
We had very compelling evidence.
This case was not investigated the way it should have been.
A lot of smoke doesn't necessarily mean fire, but I think there's a lot of smoke here.
I tell the whole truth. Nobody tells the whole truth.
Now, you and I talked a little bit about this today. I would have sworn the Jinx Part 1 came out when we were already well into making TCO.
There's a whole timeline.
The Jinx Part 1 came out in 2015. We didn't make our first episode of TCO until 2017.
It's all about Patreon, I think.
Yes,
Because when we decided we were going to make a Patreon, Making a Murderer was the newer thing, and that's what everyone
and the
wanted.
Staircase was being re-released.
So we were just doing what was newer at the time, and then the Jinx is very early on in our Patreon, but it was still kind of like, well, we have these to do now. So we kind of got around to the Jinx, which is crazy.
I saw the year that the Jinx Part 1 came out and that it was 2 years before. I thought it was like a couple months into making this wild.
Crazy,
anyway,
crazy.
So we open with a ringing phone.
Oh, boy.
Literally, oh, boy.
Like, I mean, yeah.
I know. It's Robert
Bitch
Durst.
stole my line. Come on.
Sorry, you take it.
No, I meant the lawyer stole my line. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
He says it 4 times.
It's Bob calling his lawyer. His lawyer's name is Steve, and he just said, Steve, it's Bob.
Steve, it's Bob. I was arrested in New Orleans this afternoon. By who? By the FBI. Oh, boy. I had a revolver, a whole lot of money, like $80,000. Okay. What else? And I was using that, phony ID.
Yeah, I was arrested in New Orleans this afternoon. The
By
lawyer's
who?
like, by who? This is a phone call. You can no one's shocked. No one's surprised.
No.
And Bob goes by the FBI and the lawyer goes, oh boy.
Oh boy.
And Durst continues and he's basically like, yeah, it's not good. I had a revolver, like 80 grand in cash. What else? Oh, and that fake ID I've been using.
Yeah, but that fake ID that he was using was Morris Black's ID.
Yeah. And the lawyer goes, oh. And Durst goes, yep.
I know.
The lawyer has been waiting for this phone call.
Yes.
This phone call was imminent. Like,
it's already so good.
it's like,
It's already so
oh my
good.
God.
Oh my God. And then we get another, oh boy.
Do we? I have a yup.
And then he says, Steve the lawyer says, what are they telling you? And he says, there's a warrant for my arrest in Los Angeles, and that's where they're executing it. And Steve goes, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So just bear with us with the timeline here because we're going to be jumping around. I'm going to make it as clear as possible. But it's March 2015, the day before the finale of the Jinx season 1. Durst is apprehended.
The timing of that.
Right.
The timing of that is unbelievable.
So if you remember, episode 5 was about Susan Berman's nephew finding the letter and giving it to Jarecki with the handwriting and the
And it
whatever.
matched the cadaver note. So like, it was the evidence that proved that he was the killer.
Now, episode 6 is basically 45 minutes of Jarecki trying to get this meeting with Durst, and then the bombshell last 5 minutes where it's like, which one did you write? And then the hot mic moment.
I just love you because it makes you so angry.
It makes me so angry.
But like, it's so real. And I just remember doing the live show with you.
No, I wish this was a fake nightmare. This is very real. This is very real for all of us.
Oh, God. Okay, sorry.
So we have footage of this interrogation. Durst is sitting there without a lawyer.
Yeah.
But the lawyer on the other side of the table is John Lewin. He's a deputy DA from Los Angeles. He's running this whole thing.
He tells Durst that he goes, I do cold case murders in LA. And Durst is like, I'm surprised there's enough of those to facilitate a full-time job for you.
John Lewin just goes right by that. He's not even going to dignify that with a response.
No.
Because it's a stupid, bullshit, ridiculous thing to say.
Yes.
Honestly.
It just shows you how completely out of touch he is.
Yeah. And John Lewin says to us,
Many times in Bob's life, in custody, out of custody, Bob has an option. One door is keep your mouth shut and don't say anything, and one door is talk. Bob always goes into the talk door. Always.
No.
This bitch is running its mouth every time. And by it, I mean Durst, the killer. Running his mouth like option number what? No. Talking until we all want to fucking kill ourselves. So they're being...
I have the best job in the world. I have the best job in the world. How did I get this lucky?
Take that, Jarecki.
I know.
So they're being really nice to Durst. They're doing that thing. They got to keep him talking. You know, we got to get through this.
I know. There's a reason, though, and then I'll stop. But there's a reason why the Jinx is the classic TCO thing that everybody loves. It is your righteous indignation.
No.
It's so funny and perfect. And sorry.
No pressure, everyone. So they're doing that thing where they have to be nice to him to keep him talking.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, are you cold, you frail little idiot? Like, they offer him coffee. And they're like, hey, like, we got 2 rules here in the LA District Attorney's Office. You don't throw the coffee at anyone or pour it on the computer. And Durst is like, that's very fair.
But you know what? They had to learn that the hard way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Now, DA John, and Durst is like, we want boundaries. So, yeah, very fair. So DA John is like, to us, he's like,
The reason I like cold cases is because people think they beat it. I love being able to swoop in and to basically be able to say, yeah, you know, you didn't beat it. You walked around for a long time. You got a life to live you didn't deserve, but eventually you got to pay the piper.
And I get to be the guy to say, not on my watch,
Nope.
you motherfuckers.
Nope, you got to live a life that you didn't deserve for a little bit of time, but then I showed up and now you're going to jail.
And that's it. And now, like, we're not even at the intro yet, which I have notes on, Jarecki.
Yeah.
But they asked Durst, like, why did you do the jinx?
I know.
Like, what? Because remember, and I will scream this every fucking episode because nobody else will, this was Durst's idea.
I know.
Andrew Jarecki made a movie called All Good Things with Ryan Gosling and Kirsten Dunst. Robert Durst saw it, had notes, called Jarecki and said, I love your work, but this was accurate. That one violent thing I did to Kathy's accurate. This other thing, not so much.
Yeah.
Don't you want to interview me and like hear about my life? The jinx is happening because Robert Durst asked for it.
I know.
No one is talking about that enough.
I know.
That's why
I know.
Jarecki wasn't like, oh wow, this movie, like, love Gosling and Dunst, but like let me talk to the real guy. No. Robert Durst sought him out and said, I love your fictionalized version of this. Why don't I tell you the truth? And that's why we're here.
Know. And somebody does actually say that. The New York Times reporter is like, if he had kept his mouth, I know.
Charles Bagley, please.
Yeah.
Love her. Love that. I don't know.
We
when
don't
are we
know.
recording this?
What's the date?
June 25th.
Timestamp it.
2024. I don't know what's happening, but he's great in this.
It is amazing that DA John gets to ask the question that everybody has. Why the fuck did you do that?
And like,
why did you do that?
His own friends will ask him
I know.
So then we get the opening intro. No woo.
No.
Woo! It's gone.
The intro music to season 2 sucks. Like, could they not get the rights to the song again?
Well, I think it's like new season, new look, new me, new phone.
It's not good. It's a big disappointment.
It's just not what we're used to. So it's, but also like Janine Pirro isn't here. No one's complaining about that.
Oh, she'll be here in a minute.
She is not here today.
No, yeah.
And that is a major distinction.
True.
And
yeah.
So we
2015 was a long time ago.
That
was a different country ago.
Yeah.
It was a different country ago.
It was a different country ago.
Yeah.
So we get the intro that Patrick hates. And now we're with John the DA. He's walking his 3 dogs. 2 are enormous. 1 is not. We don't know anyone's name. Whatever. Now
I have a note here that says Jillian's not going to like that we don't know their names.
And
Those dogs are huge.
And 2 of them are enormous. 1 of them is not. But they're like part of John the DA's work. Like they're in bed with him while he's going over briefs.
Because one of them one's a bloodhound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They sniff it out.
He does cold cases.
Yeah, I get it.
I did the math.
Now, dear listener.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people saying, oh my God, Jillian, do you know that John the DA blanked with blank? Yes. Yes, I know about it. We will discuss it at the end. I'm sure it's going to come up. It's already been all over my DMs when the news broke.
Yeah.
I am aware of it. We will get to John Lewin's personal life at the end. But it's not really personal. He's mixing personal and business, and that's all I'll say. I've already said too much.
So DA John is like looking Jarecki in the face because the question is probably like, has a director ever come to you before and given you evidence that's like solved a cold case?
Because the murderer himself asked for a documentary to be made about him. Let's say it, right? Like that. I don't think that has ever happened.
100%. And that's what John is saying. John's like, that's never happened to me before.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't need any help. I'm good at this. John, we can help. Now, this is a timeline bombshell too. So in 2013, the Jinx filmmakers shared the evidence that they had discovered with law enforcement, right?
We need to slow down on that year.
Because the Jinx won't come out till 2015.
Yes.
So 2013, they have the envelope.
Yes.
They have all of that stuff about Susan Berman. So as a result of that, in 2013, 2 years before we were sitting on our couch with popcorn watching the Jinx,
yes,
the LAPD renewed their investigation into the murder of Susan Berman 2 years before HBO aired this thing.
Which is good to know because we gave Jarecki a lot of shit in the Jinx for being like, you're just going to... Yeah, I know.
You know what? It was a different country. It was a different time. I'm part of the problem because I hate it was a different time. And it was a different time to us.
This is a specific example. But, you know, it was good to know that he did the right thing. He got the evidence, went to the cops with it.
Right. Because you know, like, what the fuck, Jarecki?
Yes, I know.
And does that make us look like idiots? Probably. We
How
probably
would we
should have
know?
assumed
I mean, we can't assume anything in this business.
We can't assume anything anywhere, I guess. But the timeline is...
Bob's wife, Kathy, had disappeared in Westchester back in 1982. His best friend, Susan Berman, had been murdered in 2000. And finally, his neighbor, Morris Black, was killed and dismembered in Texas in 2001. Well, nothing can be done about Morris Black. He's already been acquitted. Westchester has never done anything on Kathy Durst. There are issues. I don't think there's anything to go there. The one to look at is the Susan Berman case.
So what John the DA is saying, the Susan Berman case is the case I can make.
This is good because that's the evidence we have. And just for anybody who doesn't remember, there was a cadaver note that was sent to the LAPD when Susan Berman was murdered.
Right.
And there was the handwriting. It just had a few words on it.
Beverly was spelled wrong.
Including the word Beverly spelled incorrectly. In 2013, I guess, when Jarecki was making this, Susan Berman's stepson found a letter that Robert Durst had written to her where the handwriting matched the cadaver note exactly, including
major bombshell.
The misspelling of the word Beverly.
Yeah. It was like a carbon copy.
It was.
It was crazy.
And there's like a major moment where like Durst is presented with both and he can't point out which one he did and
I
didn't
wrote
write.
that one, but not that one.
Yeah.
And Jarecki's like, I'm going to take one away.
Yeah.
Did you write it?
Yeah, exactly.
Durst is like,
I don't
I'm
know.
out.
I couldn't tell
Fold.
you. Yeah.
I fold.
Yeah.
Because John the DA is like, I can make the Susan Berman case. I can at least get him on that. This guy's an expert in cold cases without a body. This is what he does.
Yep.
He feels, for lack of a better term, like very comfortable with this case. This is not really, for us, it's like crazy uncharted territory. But for him, he's like, I can do this.
I can do
do
this.
it.
And then we meet George, one of the officers that teams up with DA John, and they reopen the case. They say they interviewed close to 300 people.
Now, that's great.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is that they have to make sure it doesn't get back to Durst.
What we know about Durst is how loyal his friends are.
So they don't want it getting back to Durst and then him running. And remember, this is 2 years before the Jinx airs on HBO.
Exactly. Because I was thinking, well, if he runs, everybody knows what he looks like. And I was like, no, this is before the Jinx came out.
Before. Now, Charles Bagley is back from the New York Times. He was in season 1. He's with us throughout because Durst was talking to him a lot during the first 5 episodes of the Jinx.
Yes.
So
they had like a post-episode watching date night.
And like against Charles Bagley's will. Like
Right.
it wasn't his idea. He was happy to take his copious notes.
I was just going to say, he definitely has the notes.
So he says, look, right before the Jinx comes out, Durst was living in Houston. He's like, yes, he's traveling, but for the most part, like Houston, Texas was his home base.
Yes.
And he was totally free. Like he could have gotten away with all of this if he just would have kept his fucking mouth shut. Which I'm glad he didn't. Stay stupid, keep talking.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
they want to talk. How many times do we see this? They don't really want it to be a secret.
Totally. They want credit for their work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So February 2015, the first episode of The Jinx airs on HBO. The killer is watching it weekly, just like all of us. And now after every episode, he'd call Charles Bagley from the New York Times.
Yeah.
Let me say that again.
Yeah.
After, just really stay with me on this.
Yeah.
You're not driving, right? Or operating heavy machinery. Everyone knows.
Absolutely
Okay, great.
not.
Robert Durst asks for this documentary film to be made about him and about the murder of his wife, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Then he ran his mouth to Jarecki on HBO. Then after he ran his mouth on HBO, he would call a veteran 20-year reporter of the New York Times.
Yes.
And run his mouth again.
Yes. And say insanely shitty things. Like he
and
would
discuss what he said on HBO.
He would complain about Kathy's family. He's like,
these are my notes from this time period. I'd get his reaction. Hey, Charles Bagley, it's Robert Durst. The second episode, I don't have anything to say about it. We've heard Kathy's family saying, why won't he tell us what he did with her? On and on. As if they actually expect me to say, I put her over there near the lamppost.
And I was like, can we get eyes on the lamppost?
That's exactly what I said.
Like,
I know.
And then he's talking about, I don't have anything to say about it. It's all there. And he's like basically saying, talking shit.
Right. They're saying it was by the end of episode 3, Durst feels like he's in pretty good shape. But he's like, they've covered Galveston, Los Angeles, Westchester. They don't have anything new.
Right.
No bombshells.
Uh-huh. But wait a second.
Yeah.
He filmed it all. Does he not remember being presented with that envelope? Like, that's what I keep tripping over in this.
Yes.
Because, like, even if he didn't realize the hot mic moment, let's just say he doesn't know that. And I have news about the hot mic in a minute, too.
Really?
Huge. It's a major let the women do the work moment. Major. But let's just say he doesn't realize that's a hot mic, right?
Yeah.
He still was presented with the 2 envelopes with the Beverly spelled wrong and the same handwriting. So
And
for
at
him
least-
to be feeling good at all, like, he filmed that.
I know. And in that moment, he says to himself, you're caught. I killed them all. And they know.
So he knows he's caught, but he's calling the New York Times, essentially?
Yeah. I just wonder if maybe, my God, by the time it's airing, it's 2 years later. Maybe he forgot. Maybe he's thinking, maybe that wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was. Maybe Jarecki's not going to use that because we haven't seen it yet.
And like after episode 3, because they have screenshots of Bagley's notes.
Oh, yeah.
He said, because sometimes they're voicemails, which is perfect because he just like transcribed them. Ain't no way I'm going to New York until after the 6th show, he says. He's saying to Charles Bagley. February 24th, 2015, he's talking about like, oh, well, maybe they'll send it to me before Sunday airs and I can watch it Friday. And then he just starts talking about the Oscars.
Who was nominated that year?
I don't know. But it cuts off. The Oscars to me were very, I don't know what he thought. Oh no, we don't know what the killer thinks about the fucking Oscars in 2015. I'm sure Bagley's like, are you?
I know, but
it must
also,
be surreal.
Bagley,
Every week he needs to like chit chat about the documentary about his murder.
Where's your book? Like,
committed?
I would have inked a book deal after the first phone call.
Because he's probably like, Jarecki's doing it.
Yeah.
He's got 12 episodes. Why,
Yeah.
It's a saturated market.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, like my confusion is just like, is he downplaying it? Does he forget?
I bet he's either
like playing it cool,
or he's made it out in his mind that it's not as big as he thought it was.
And if he just like, why would he call the New York Times reporter?
And I think episode 2 is the episode about Susan Berman. So maybe he was thinking if they were going to show that moment, they would have shown it in episode 2.
All of these emails I'm reading are from like episode 3.
Yes.
So I guess he's just trying to say like, why would I talk to the New York Times reporter if I had anything to hide?
Exactly.
There's no bombshell. Like, let's talk about the Oscars.
Well, then we get the on-screen text that says, in March 2015, Bob watches the 5th episode of the Jinx that airs on HBO. And this is where we see the cadaver note and Bob's letter. This is where
everything
we see
changes.
The evidence. Yes.
Because remember, the 6th episode is almost entirely Jarecki trying to get that last interview for the reveal.
Yes.
But Durst doesn't know why. He's just sort of feeling that maybe the walls are closing in. Durst is very cagey in that 6th episode.
Yes. Because
he's lying about where he is.
In episode 5, we know about the cadaver note and the letter, but Bob does not.
Right. And Jarecki's trying to get to him.
Yes.
Just to be like, hey, just a couple loose ends, like really trying to play it cool. So, but Durst must have been feeling in that moment.
Yes.
Something's going on.
And because episode 6 is where he does the confrontation, this is why they're pointing out it was after episode 5 that he watched that he got nervous.
So when Bob saw his letter on the TV, he got very nervous. This seems to be proof positive that he killed Susan. That is evidence. When I called him after the 5th episode, there was a change in Bob. He was clearly now worried. No, I'm sort of busy right now. Let me get back to you. Say Wednesday. Bye-bye.
And it's why he takes off after episode 5, not episode 6.
Because the call after episode 5 was different.
Yes.
Because he does call Bagley anyway.
Yeah.
And suddenly is like basically calling to say he has nothing to say. He's like, I can't talk right now. Bye-bye. Like, he does. All right.
She gave it to you, fam.
I'll give it to you for real. Because Bagley says, because he's like reading, he's like, Jarecki, I have my transcript. And Jarecki's like, I know. That's why you're here. Like, you're an expert at this.
Yeah.
And he's like reading the transcript and he's like, no, I'm busy right now. I can't talk to you. And then Durst signs off as usual. Okay, bye-bye.
We got
Charles
it early.
Bagley.
Oh, that is a
well,
gift.
he says it in every fucking phone call. He says it, and people quote him saying it
I know.
all the time, like not knowing what it means in like TCO lore.
Well, what we know is that he's saying he can't talk to Charles Bagley because he's packing his shit to take off.
Because they're like, oh shit, he can't run. Guess what? That's exactly what happens.
Yes.
And he starts taking $9,000 in cash out at a time because $10,000 gets flagged. And I'm like, right, but isn't like maybe 15 withdrawals of $9,999.99? Like, isn't that a red flag
that also
too?
gets flagged. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric Perry from the FBI is here, and he's tracking the killer's phone. He's like, I can't let this guy leave the country. Like,
no.
How embarrassing.
But also, we won't get him back. Like, if he goes to Venezuela or someplace where we don't have an extradition treaty, we're never seeing this guy again. And that's why the Durst case is special, because he's got the money and the means to do it.
Yeah.
He could actually go anywhere and be fine.
And it's been decades, and he's gotten away with it all.
Exactly.
So they need to get him into custody ASAP.
Yes.
So they scramble, and they get a search warrant for his apartment in Houston.
Oh,
and
my
this
God.
Is insane.
Gird your loins, fam.
So we have camera footage from the apartment building's lobby.
Yes.
And he was in and out of the apartment all day. Like every 30 minutes, he's coming and going, shuffling along.
Do you see that he's pushing a shopping cart?
Yeah.
He's like taking a shopping cart up to
He's moving out.
But like, where did he get a shopping cart?
I don't know. The grocery store, I guess. But yeah,
Like-
just see him shuffling like, I'll just
Like,
be taking this.
If
Thank
I saw
you.
like a man in the lobby of my building with a shopping cart, it would stand out to me.
Like every 30 minutes?
Yes, yes, exactly. And like his shuffle, he is not well.
No, and
You
he
know,
knows it. Like
he can
that's
barely
the thing.
walk.
You would notice him even if he wasn't Robert Durst.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So at 12:40, we see him like shuffle out the door, and the receptionist, that's the last time the receptionist sees him. So
Yes.
the cops get that warrant, they get into the apartment, and this is like diabolical.
This is unreal.
And it really, because I'm very worried in this that it's going to be like, oh, he's so quirky and weird. Like, no, he's killed 3 fucking
Yes,
people.
yes.
And like, I think a lot of it here gets lost.
Yeah.
Because he also is just like a fucking odd duck,
But
too.
also, everybody says how charming he is. And I think that people like this, like they know, like these sociopaths have to be.
I guess.
You know?
But let this be a reminder of the type of person he really is. So
Yeah.
he's on the run.
Yes.
He knows, because he's a fucking narcissist, he wanted to talk to Jarecki about it,
Yep.
a sociopath. So he's on the run now. The cops get into the apartment. The apartment is totally cleaned out, except that there's a box of mementos left on the bed, and it's photos of Kathy and Susan.
Yes.
So that's the one thing they find, which I think is like a reminder that he's not just some like guy with a stupid voice. Like,
I
he
know.
killed 3 people.
It's a message. For sure.
He's on the run for these 2 murders, and
Right.
he's leaving photos of them, and that's the only thing left in the apartment. That's sick.
What goes through a person's mind that would even make you think to do that?
Like, he's thinking, like, I'm going to get away with these 2 also.
Yeah.
I got away with Morris Black.
Yeah.
And here I go again. Bye.
It's insane.
It's disgusting.
It's truly insane.
Speaking of disgusting.
Yes.
Durst isn't the only one shuffling in and out, coming and going in the apartment.
No, we learn about Donna and Chris Lovell. Now, Donna is Durst's assistant or whatever.
She also cleans the apartment sometimes.
Yes.
She cleans the apartment from 8 a.m. to noon on Mondays.
Yeah.
Yet Donna and her husband, hold on, we'll get there. Donna and her husband are at the apartment Thursday and Friday, coming and going a lot. So it's like, why?
Right.
What?
What's going on?
What's going on here?
So this is when we learn that Donna's husband, Chris, was a juror in Galveston on the jury that acquitted him of Morris Black's murder and was also featured prominently in season 1 of the JINX.
Yeah, and was doing all the press about why the jury acquitted.
Yes.
He was like super, like believed him. So the big bombshell is that they're good friends now. Like Robert Durst became friends with this juror and his wife, like besties.
Yes.
And so like this guy's enamored with Bob. And now Jarecki didn't air that in the first season, but he does show a clip of Chris Lovell from season 1, like footage from that time.
I didn't set out to be his Robert Durst friend. It just kind of evolved into that. I just set out to get some questions answered in my mind, but it has evolved into a friendship, and I don't have a problem with him at all.
Now, I checked my original notes. I refer to him as the idiot juror. I didn't even write his name down.
Oh, my God.
From 2015.
And we knew that he was a juror when he was talking about his friendship with Bob. Oh,
yeah,
really?
Because he was talking about, like, you know, Durst was always going to be acquitted. Like, there was only ever 3 people voting guilty for him.
Yeah.
So he was, like, our voice of the jurors. Now, their friendship made news in 2004. It was, like, in the Post in the Daily News.
Oh.
This was a known thing that was left out of the first season, which is, like, how many awful things can we cover? And I guess Jarecki was like, this wouldn't come back. But now that this guy's helping him run.
And that's what's happening. Tom Brokaw, we see like a clip from the nightly news.
In one of the more surprising verdicts in recent court history, a jury in Galveston, Texas, today found a wealthy man innocent of murdering another man, even after he admitted he cut up the victim's body and disposed of it.
With what was presented to me, absolutely positively 100%. With what was presented to me. Yes, sir.
And Chris Lovell, his best friend, is the juror in the back room. He's like the Peter Fonda, but the bad kind.
Yes.
From 12 Angry Men, being like, no, we have... And like, is there a point there? Like, legal people? Like people who are involved in law? I don't know what I'm talking about. My job is to speak words into a microphone. That is so weird. But people in the legal profession, I'm sure there is an argument. Like, on paper, they're not talking about the murder. They're talking about this. Like, I hear that, but it's fucking Durst, and I hate him, so whatever.
And like, his wife is missing. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, instead his best friend was murdered.
Yes.
And like, but I think you could argue, and as much as I hate it, where it's like, but what were they there to judge?
Which is what Chris says. He's like, the evidence presented to me said he was not guilty.
Bullshit.
So Judge Susan Chris is here. She's the one who oversaw the case, and she is fucking incredulous.
As she should be.
That a juror in the case is now helping the defendant flee.
I've never seen or heard of a juror forming a relationship with a defendant after trial. But then most defendants aren't extremely wealthy with sort of a celebrity status. I think that Bob trusted Chris, and I think that Chris Lovell will do whatever Bob says. It is astounding that 12 years after our murder trial, one of the jurors is helping Bob make his getaway.
And she's like, I saw it from the very beginning. Like, he always loved the power and celebrity. I was like, what is the role of a judge here?
I know.
Or maybe she only knew it after the fact.
Yeah.
Because after he was acquitted, Chris Lovell was like, oh, is there a camera for me to talk to? I'll talk about my best friend, Robert Durst. Like, he couldn't wait, but it was over that.
And like, everyone makes the point, like, Chris Lovell is just hoping that like Durst is going to give him money. He was basically making his presence known in Bob's life to be like, I'm the juror that got you off. So, and you're a billionaire.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Exactly.
So anyway, there's nothing in the apartment, no DNA, nothing useful, just the creepy box of photos of 2 out of the 3 people he murdered. Sitting on the bed, like waiting for the FBI. That was so deliberate and disgusting.
Of course.
So Eric Perry is the guy who's tracking the phone.
Yep.
He's up on the wiretap and he's like, look.
Oh, I mean, this kills me.
The Saturday before the finale. So it's like Saturday night. The finale of the Jinx is airing tomorrow, Sunday.
Yeah.
And Durst calls his own phone.
He's calling one of those jitterbug phones.
What's a jitterbug phone?
I believe that jitterbug phones are made for people who don't really know how to use cell phones.
He's trying to call into his own voicemail.
And he's doing that thing where he's like trying to like plug the number. Like you can hear him putting in a passcode.
Oh, God damn it. And it's like boop, 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 boop. Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck it.
So it's like beep, beep, beep. And he was unsuccessful. He was actually getting frustrated.
Shit. No.
So I knew it was Bob.
But that's how Eric from the FBI knows it's Durst. Because he's listening to it happen in real fucking time.
And he's like a caricature of himself. He's like fumbling. He's a bumbling fucking idiot. So FBI Eric is like, cool story, bro, tracks the number.
Yep.
Now we're at the JW Marriott Hotel in New Orleans.
Yes.
And now the FBI gets down there to get Bob, and they get confirmation it's him because some lady recognizes him in the lobby.
So Bob Durst walks in his like knee socks and his tennis shoes
Seriously.
and his backpack.
And his shorts.
And the FBI go up to him. They're about to arrest him. He gets recognized by a fan.
She's like, oh my God, I was just watching the Jinx. Are you so excited for the finale? Like, can you tell me spoilers or like what's going on?
The FBI like can't believe this is happening. He's getting stopped for like a picture and an autograph.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was just like, holy shit, that's Robert Durst. I don't know if she was fangirling.
Wild.
Let's hope she wasn't.
Can I tell you something crazy?
What?
We had a play date with Daisy's friend the other day, and his dad spends a lot of time in New Orleans and has a lot of friends there. The dad's friend was in the bar when Durst got arrested. This moment, when
this hotel bar?
He was in the JW Marriott in New Orleans. He watched Bob Durst get arrested.
Oh my God.
I just learned this story like 2 days ago.
And was it like this big hullabaloo?
No,
or was it pretty quiet?
It was pretty quiet. He was watching this episode of The Jinx trying to see if he could see himself in the background because he was in the bar that that woman had just wandered out of.
Wow.
Yeah, wild, right?
Do you know her?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, do you know
What's her
Barb?
story? Was she fangirling or not?
Yeah.
Like, what's the tape?
We see a picture of her. It's wild.
It's crazy. So the FBI arrests him. And now this is the phone call from the top of the episode where he's calling his lawyer.
Yep.
So they ask him about his ID. He gives the fake one.
Well, they got to take him up to the room for him to get his ID where they find drugs, a bunch of money, a loaded gun.
Weed. We have to stop calling weed drugs, honestly.
Okay,
like,
all right, fine.
Right?
Now I'm the problem.
A little bit. No. It's weed, a bunch of weed.
Yes.
Like tens of thousands of dollars in cash. Now, the number online ranges from $40,000 to $161,000.
Oh, my God.
A shit ton of cash.
Yeah.
A loaded gun. A map of Cuba. You can see where this is going. Or can you? Because the piece de resistance... Quote, a very expensive latex mask.
Now, when we see this mask, it does not look expensive to me.
It looks like shit, right? Thank you.
Because, like, eventually we're going to see a reenactment of a fake Robert Durst.
We cut to some actor on a boat, quote, like heading to Cuba as Durst.
And it looks like a man wearing a skin mask.
And I'm like, that can't be the actual mask.
No.
And also, you don't just, like, place a mask on you.
No.
Like, you can buy like, we've all seen Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, right.
Like, you can't just put it on.
No, it's like a latex mask. You have to, like,
you have to have Harvey Fierstein, like,
exactly.
Paste it on with makeup.
It looks so fake and so stupid. I'm like, very expensive? What?
Yeah. Well, like, it can't have been the real one.
No.
Was it?
Who knows?
Who knows? So let's go back to the beginning of the episode. Bob's arrested. John, the DA, is questioning him.
Because he says to him, girl, you had a map of Cuba, 88 grand, a gun, and a mask. Why are you still here?
I had made arrangements. I had considered the possibility. I had looked here and looked there. But I had never really said, you know what, they're going to come after me. I've got to get far away where they can't get me. Just inertia. I just didn't really think that I was going to end up arrested. Being a fugitive was not something I did well.
And the honest-to-God answer that Durst gives is, I just never thought I'd get caught.
I mean, that's the most honest he is.
I know.
In all 12 episodes of this thing.
He's like, I poked around and looked at Cuba, but I was never really going to go. I never thought you idiots would figure this out.
But then he goes, being a fugitive isn't something I do well. And it's like, yeah, no shit, because we're talking to you right now.
Because you steal a hoagie from a Wegmans.
Because guess what? You die in prison, you piece of shit. So we win. So Durst has been arrested, and the finale of the Jinx is going to air in like 4 hours.
Yes. And there's a watch party at Jarecki's house.
Now, Jarecki throws a viewing party for Kathleen's friends and family.
Yes.
No Gilberta, because she died. She passed away.
How did Gilberta die?
She was waiting for an organ donor.
No, Gilberta.
And Eleanor had cancer. They were such advocates for Kathleen.
Yeah.
And I was looking for them. I was like, if fucking Piro is there, I want Kathleen's best friends. Because they were so, if you remember them, they were such a force in season 1.
Oh my God, they were like going through people's trash.
And they are, to me, so sorely missed in this season.
God, Gilberta was the best.
The best. Yeah, I looked them up, and so they both passed away, which is like,
that's terrible.
Man. I know, it's terrible. But, you know, members of Kathy's family include Jim, her brother, Sharon, her sister-in-law, Liz, her niece, who's like the spitting image of Kathleen.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to be in good spirits. Like, Durst had just been, in real life, Durst has been arrested.
Yep.
So they're there to watch the finale, not knowing what happens, and Jarecki isn't telling them what the bombshell is.
I mean, can you imagine being Jarecki and the only person in the world that knows what's about to happen?
So, like, they just know that Durst has been arrested, but they are about to watch what made that happen.
Yes.
Because if you remember, the 6th episode starts with Jeanine Pirro discovering that Durst wrote both envelopes. Like, and P is exactly the same son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. And we see her watch it.
Everyone in the room reacts the way we did.
Yes. And then she's got her head in her hands, pretending she hates being the center of attention.
Right, like, please.
I know.
Belong. But people are watching this, and they are having fun. Like, the fact that he was just arrested can't be ignored here.
Yes.
So I think there's not as much heaviness as there would have been that he's just, like, in the wind.
Yep.
So they're, like, laughing and smiling, and Charles Bagley from The Times goes, now, as the episode progresses, the room gets quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
And we watch the room watch the end of the Jinx. Watching them watch it, I was standing up. I was holding my breath.
I cried.
I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't believe.
Well, because we see the moment, we see the confrontation moment with the cadaver note and the letter that Bob wrote.
Right.
This is the moment that proves that Bob is the killer.
Because he can't tell which one he wrote and which one he didn't.
Exactly. And so we watch everybody in the room watch it in that moment. And then when Jarecki says, can you tell me which one you didn't write? And he says no, there's a gasp.
So obviously I want to ask you about the cadaver note, the famous cadaver note. Can you read me the spelling of Beverly Hills?
Police 1527 Benedict Canyon, cadaver.
So you wrote one of these, but you didn't write the other one.
I wrote this one, but I did not write the cadaver one.
And can you tell me which one you didn't write?
No.
There's like murmuring. People are shushing people. It's a major moment that they can feel the weight of it.
Yep.
And I have to assume that this is all on the up and up with Kathleen's family and Susan's family. That Jarecki didn't just like put a hidden camera there, which he didn't. It's very clearly filmed.
Yeah.
Because Kathleen's family, we will see more of them later in this season, is still a very big part of this. So I have to assume that this is all done on the up and up here with her family's permission and blessing.
Yeah, but then we watch them watch the hot mic moment.
Right.
Like,
this is where they're like, shut up. They're shushing each other.
Because remember, what happens is Durst, like, he knows he's caught in his head. He goes to the bathroom. His mic is still on and recording, and he doesn't know it.
He doesn't know it.
And none of us know it either. So what happens is he goes into the bathroom, and, like, everyone's like, wait, what's gonna... Because, like, the lights are... It's like the production is over, like, what's going on.
You see them kind of breaking down the
He
filming.
goes into the bathroom, and he says...
There it is. Your court. Shh. Kill them all. Of course.
Oh my God.
Everyone screams.
And looks to the cop and the lawyer in the room.
Well, because then he says... killed them all, of course.
Major.
And that's
Imagine
when...
being Kathy's family.
I know.
Oh, my God.
And that's when everyone's looking at Jeanine being like, is it admissible? Can they use this? And she's saying, yeah, he wasn't in custody. He didn't have to be read his rights. This is all admissible.
He wasn't tricked. Like, he knew he was mic'd.
Yes.
They were filming a documentary. That was his idea.
Exactly.
Let me tell you about this hot mic moment.
Oh, I can't believe you have tea.
This hot mic audio was discovered 2 years after it was recorded.
What?
By a goddess named Shelby Siegel.
Oh, my God. What?
The Jinx was, like, done. And so Shelby was brought in to look through the rest of the footage to see if there was anything that needed to be added to the series. Now, the big handwriting reveal, that was the end until Shelby came along. So there's like a Hollywood Reporter article about this if you want to look it up. But she was interviewed for a website called cinemontage.org.
Oh my
and
God.
she tells the story. So she says, this is her looking through the footage where it's like, let's just make sure, fresh eyes on it, whatever.
Remember, during the live show, I was like, somebody had to like risk hearing him poop.
This is the moment.
Oh my God.
So she says, I saw Andrew Jarecki hand Bob the now infamous envelope. And she goes, I see Bob burping and all of his strange reactions. It's very intense. Like she's watching it. She goes, the interview is over. They're like looking for Bob's bag, asking him if he wants something to eat. That is all in season 1.
Yep.
And she goes, as I'm watching it, the camera that she's watching cuts off, but the audio continues. Right at the moment.
So she's looking at a machine that sees
She's
the audio.
She's the editor,
still,
right? But the audio file keeps going.
Yep.
So she says, as she's watching it, the camera that she's watching cuts off, but the audio continues. She says, right at that moment, it seemingly cuts off. I hear whispering. And I quote, editing 101 is if you hear whispering, you turn up the volume.
Oh my God.
So she goes, now I'm leaning in further. She's listening. She doesn't see anything on screen, but she hears Bob ask for the bathroom. And she hears him open the bathroom door. And immediately I hear him say, there it is, you're caught. And she goes, I just screamed. She goes, I get home that night and I'm thinking about it. And she's realizing.
She didn't call Jarecki like in this moment?
Well, I'm sure she was like, girls, I'm like, we got to talk.
Yeah.
But she's thinking about it and she's realizing like the audio she was listening, like it cuts off pretty abruptly. So she goes, the next clip is Durst coming out of the bathroom. And she goes, there's audio in between that moment. Like, where is it? Like, all that exists in the world right now as Shelby is watching this is there it is, you're caught. The famous killed them all, of course, is not there. It is missing.
Like, if you could see the chills on my body.
I'm telling you, right? Amazing.
You're a
Major.
great storyteller,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you. I'm paraphrasing Shelby. Shelby did all the fucking work here. I'm not taking any credit.
God.
So she realizes there is a missing moment here because he says there it is. And then suddenly he's leaving. Where is this piece of audio that goes in the middle, right? So the next day, that missing piece of audio was found. It was never loaded into the computer. It was just like on a drive somewhere. It was never actually watched.
Oh my
because
God.
it was like, oh, this is just audio.
Yeah.
There's no whatever. So everyone, they're like holding hands, like everyone is in the edit bay. And she goes, we can see it on the timeline and you can see the wave, the audio forms. And she's like, it's really long. Like there's a lot that's being said here. This is a quote from Shelby. I'm going to read her from the interview. Bob is going into the bathroom several times. And what's really happening is he's arguing with himself because he didn't tell his lawyer that he was going to do the second interview in 2012.
Oh my God.
So he is preparing his argument for the lawyer, saying to himself, Andrew didn't find anything. It was nothing. As he's talking himself through it, we're watching the waveforms. And then he says the famous line, what did I do? Killed them all, of course. And we all screamed.
Oh my God.
So she says it was a once in a lifetime find that went on to become one of the most talked about moments in television. It's been cemented into the zeitgeist of pop culture and it's still being referenced today. And it made the criminal case against Durst. It's a definite highlight of my career. Shelby, girl. Like,
Shelby!
We wouldn't be here. Like, he would not have been arrested if not for her.
100%.
And my question is, Jarecki, how are you not listening to every second of audio?
I mean,
it got lost.
Yeah. And also, like, they're probably filming 24 hours a day.
2 years later, Shelby comes along and listens and says something isn't right here. And then thinks, but there's something missing here. Then he like, where is it?
Yep.
Tracks down.
Yep.
You know how hard it is to track down a 2-minute piece of audio that from 2 years ago that's never been
on a drive
labeled?
That's not been loaded into the computer. Yes.
You know, she was probably searching by dates. They were probably figuring out what did we do where? What other piece from that?
Yep.
Like I've been there looking for a small piece of footage somewhere.
Oh my God.
You have to go back by dates. You're looking at calendars and schedules and thinking what else did we film that day? Where could it be? And she tracked it down and found it. And if not for Shelby, we would not be here.
Shelby! Hero bell for Shelby!
Shelby rules. Shelby Siegel. Amazing.
Oh my God.
Back to the interrogation after the arrest.
Yes.
Remember, he doesn't have a lawyer. Durst doesn't have a lawyer here.
Right. So he's sitting with John, and John is saying, I've seen all the Jarecki interviews. I know everything you said you did.
I've seen all the interviews that you did with Andrew.
For the whole long weekend when I did the interviews for the JINX,
Yeah.
the whole time I was on meth. And when I looked at the little pieces of it, I was going like this. It should have been obvious. Surprised my lawyer let me go ahead with it because I looked like there was something going on.
Okay, I'm a straight shooter. What you just told me is bullshit.
This is skill because John has goodwill in the bank with Bob. And he says to Bob, Bob, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Durst is like, I can't even believe my lawyer let me do that. And it's like, the dead black guys need to be explained.
Yes.
I don't know if meth does that.
I know.
But I'm still calling bullshit.
Yeah, me too.
But when John calls bullshit, the entire tone of the conversation changes.
Yep, because Bob once again knows he's been caught.
And Durst tries to negotiate.
Durst starts talking about his own plea deal.
He says to the prosecutor, look, if I tell you what I know, what are you going to do for me?
Yep.
Literally. What like he's antiquing and he wants to like literally that's what you say when you're like, is that the best price you can do for this antique grandfather clock?
He gets specific because John's like, I mean, do you know what I want? And Bob's like, yeah, you want to know what I did with Kathy and what happened with Susan Berman. And I was like, Bob, you were just giving it away.
And Durst is like, but the issue is that if I tell you what I know, then that's essentially me pleading guilty. And if that happens, I'm going to serve my time in California. That's really not going to work for me, Johnny boy.
Yep. And so John's like, so maybe we could find a better place for you to serve your time. And Bob's like, that's what I'm talking about, John.
And he says it in this like Disney villain. He's like,
Well, I now have a question. Is there, so for instance, something that I would have to see is, would it be better doing your time in a different place? Or you better
Yes. That's just what we're getting to.
Okay, tell me.
What could you do? Well, I don't know what the question is yet.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And like, this is where Durst ends the conversation because he can't say anything without a lawyer. And he's basically like, but I can't wait to finish this conversation with you, John. I'll see you soon. Loved catching up. You look great. Tell the wife I said hello. My lawyer will be in touch, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, fellas, thanks. This has been great. Great coffee, by the way.
Because he promised...
Notice how I didn't throw it anywhere? I didn't throw it.
He promises John that he's going to continue the conversation later and never does. And John is saying, I thought I was so great. Like, I was 10 minutes away from a confession, but he's like, he was never going to give it to me. I know now that he was never, ever going to give me that confession.
So Durst is in custody in New Orleans. Who is the first person on a plane down there to see Bob Durst?
Not only is it Deborah gets her own music.
She gets her own music.
Hi. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm sorry. This is the way they do visitation here.
She gets her own
music.
music.
Did you happen to see the sign outside the prison?
No.
It says, danger, alligators and snakes in area. Stay away from the water, no fishing. That couldn't be ignored.
No, that's great.
Deb is back, everyone.
Yeah,
Sorry to bury the lead here.
Deb is back, fam.
Now, this is the beginning of all of the footage we get of Durst talking to people while he's in prison, while he's in custody, like all of these conversations.
Yep.
Durst wants her to compliment his jumper, and she responds like he's a little kid. She's like, wow, I know, I see.
Uh-huh.
Now, in response, he tells her that her hair looks very bushy, by the way. Now, I don't know if you caught this. Go back and look, everyone. That's the moment where she's like, do I have to fucking do this again with this guy? Because she looks around for confirmation that he's here. Your hair is very bushy, by the way. And she's like, well, it's hair. But literally looking around like, do I have to do this again? Like, how many millions? Is it worth it?
She looks like an evil queen from a Disney movie.
Yeah. She's also not looking for a way out, everyone.
No. But she knows his net worth to the penny. And she knows
to the penny.
She knows what every asset is worth. She can call it up like that. It's wild to watch.
Off the top.
For sure.
For sure.
And he knows. He doesn't care.
And well, they're here to talk about money. So they're deciding which of his many properties to sell to get himself a nice nest egg.
My favorite part about this is that she wants him to sell the apartment in New York and the stuff in the Hamptons, but she wants him to keep the apartment in Houston just in case he gets out. He's not coming home to her.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean?
But we're looking at a cool 20 mil here with his properties.
Right.
Now, his second visitor, not to be second place to Deb, of course.
Does not get his own music.
No, Dick DeGuerin. So he's with that lawyer from the murder of Morris Black where Durst was acquitted.
I mean, he got Durst off.
He did.
Of murder.
He stole a storyline from a little musical called Chicago and got him off.
Oh, yes.
That's what happened. They literally said, we both reached for the gun. Even Eleanor, Kathy's friends, may she rest. That's not a joke. I really mean that.
Yep.
Those were two powerful fucking women that we don't have in this world anymore.
Yep.
Advocates for Kathy and victims. But she was like, it was like I was watching a show. Remember Eleanor saying that? She was like, I felt like I was at a Broadway show.
In the theater.
We were like, Eleanor, you were. They stole it from Chicago, girl. You know this.
We did a whole dance to it in our live show.
Next time we're out, we got to raise a glass to those two. I really, the more I talk about it, it's so sad to me that we're still here.
I know.
Anyway, so Dick is going to build Durst's defense team.
And we meet this guy. So the first guy he calls is this guy named Chesnoff, What's his first name?
David.
David Chesnoff is here. He thinks of himself as a person who fights for the underdog.
Like Mike Tyson, fucking barf.
I mean, like all of these people. Paris Hilton is the underdog.
Suge Knight.
Suge Knight.
Look, I'm staying out of any beef with Suge Knight. I'm
just saying that Chesnoff thinks it's a really tough time to be a celebrity. It's not great like it used to be.
Okay, because first of all, he makes problems go away, which is like, okay.
I know.
But he's here to tell us, back in the old days.
I've always been interested in fighting for the underdog. In the old days, if you were a celebrated person, you got breaks. Now, if you're a celebrated person, it's worse. The more famous you are, the tougher it is. It's like a populist thing. Their chance to get even with the rich person.
Now it's not like that.
Nope.
The more famous you are, the tougher it is. And I'm like, tougher it is to do what, David?
Exactly.
What, do you get away with murder? Also, he's in his 70s. He's gotten away with 3 murders. He was acquitted of the Morris, but he's gotten away with everything. What the fuck are you talking about?
If you can kill 3 people and get away with 2 of them,
he's fine.
I know.
He's rich and he's famous and he hasn't been held accountable for anything in his entire life. And we will hear that from his own family in a couple episodes. Don't you fucking sit there and tell me it's so hard to be Robert Durst.
I know.
So hard to be a celebrity.
Or
He's
any
getting
of
away
these
with
people.
everything.
Mike Tyson, like, come on.
Gilberta and Eleanor aren't here, but Mike Tyson is. Okay. Tell me that's fair. Explain to me that it's fair.
Garbage bell.
So Durst is in prison in New Orleans. John the DA is like, it was a nonstop talk fest. Because again, everything in prison is recorded. Stay stupid, everyone. And we get video footage of this too. We get everything.
I mean, the thing is, like, he's calling all of his friends, right?
He's constantly on the phone.
But, like, these are the people who have enabled him his entire life. These are the people who have made it okay for him to have killed 3 people and gotten away with it.
Everything's going to be good. I truly believe everything's going to be good.
Whatever I can do for you, Bobby, it'd be my pleasure, okay? Thank you, John.
And I wanted you to know, I would have taken care of anything you needed taken care of. You know that.
I know that.
They're on the phone offering their sympathy.
Yes.
Anything we could do for you, Bobby.
And
I'm sorry.
It's all based on the idea that he's going to throw you some cash. And, like, everybody's soul is just for sale.
And again, I mean, for what? Like, no one is like, and I now live in a $30 million home.
Exactly.
I haven't seen it really come to fruition at all. Everyone's just like hoping.
Deb's the big winner here.
Everyone's chasing the carrot.
Yeah.
But I don't see a big payday from anyone other than Deb.
I will say a lot of them are yelling at him for having done the jinx.
And look.
You know what I mean?
Where were they then?
I know.
The thing is,
he didn't tell anyone. I'm sure he told nobody.
I mean, I guess not, but he loves talking about it, clearly. Like,
Yeah.
because again, we end with really just hitting home the fact that the jinx was Durst's idea.
Right.
He saw All Good Things. He watched a screening of it. He loved it. He called Jarecki and basically asked for this documentary about him to be made.
Yep.
And now we're here.
I know. And now he's in prison.
And he dies there. He's dead. He's gone now. He's no longer part of this world.
Oh my God, girl. We're just getting started.
We're here.
All throughout, you were looking at me like you were giving me like the girl shut up eyes.
No,
but it's just like, it's
At some point, we got to tell the goddamn story.
Right.
Jarecki gets it.
I don't.
Jarecki knows.
This has aged him, by the way. Jarecki's getting gray.
This has been his life. What did he say,
I
like
know.
14, 15 years?
Something
it's been
like
like I mean, his life's work.
Quick question for you before we get out of here. How did we get here?
Is that from this episode? I don't think it's from this episode.
Well, because the family, Jillian's going to say time and time again, tell them how we got here.
We got here because Robert Durst asked for a documentary to be made about him because Jarecki saw All Good Things. I get into it. I mean, if you want to hear it, it's on one of the other remaining 5 episodes that are on Patreon right this minute.
And then I asked her every single episode, remind us one more time how we got
here. Okay, so like take a deep breath. We're here because of him. Like we got the guy, and that's not discounting any of Jarecki's work. Oh, the next episode might be our best friend Shelby the editor who saved the day.
Oh, yes.
We're also here because of Shelby.
Yes. I mean, it is all wild. Go over to Patreon, patreon.com/TrueCrimeObsessed. All of the episodes are available to binge right now, ad-free. Same with season 1. It's 12 episodes of The Jinx, like 380 episodes of other stuff.
Oh my God, at least.
And we love you, and thanks
for
sharing our rage.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. We love you.